Texas Math Mundo audience, are we in store for a treat today? In the house, Mr. Paul Stroud, UIL Academic Coordinator from Katy 7 Lakes High School. He's been doing it a long time. He got a lot of experience, perspective, and wisdom to share with us. I look forward to that. Let me take a quick moment and ask that if you enjoy this content, that you please hit the subscription button and the notification bell, that you leave a comment below, and that you smash that like button. Let's spread this joy, let's spread this beauty to as many people as possible. Mr. Paul Stroud, a proud Katy 7 Lakes Spartan, right ahead. My name is Saul Cantu, and this is Texas Math Mundo. Audience, are we in store for a spectacular treat today? In the house is Mr. Paul Stroud, UIL Academic Coordinator for many years now at Katy 7 Lakes High School, a proud Spartan. He has also hosted one of the best known tournaments in the area for many years now. The UIL released a release which is coming up pretty soon in January 14th, and we'll be discussing that also. He's a computer science coach, and he runs the UIL Region 3 6A meet. He helps with the UIL State Spelling Contest with Mrs. Berry. And he has, during his tenure at Katy 7 Lakes, they have won 20 UIL State Team Championships under his tenure. Welcome, Mr. Paul Stroud.
Howdy.
I'm so happy to have you here. You've done so much in UIL over the past years, and I'm so looking forward to having your perspective on the show.
I'm looking forward to giving it. I hope I give it right.
So let's just start off with, how are you doing?
A fair to partly cloudy with a mild chance of rain in the evening. I'm doing good. I usually have a sarcastic remark for everything there is. So. I'm doing great. We have a basketball game coming up at 7 Lakes High School tonight, so kind of looking forward to calling that game. I get to announce for 7 Lakes High School's boys basketball team a lot, so I get to have fun doing that.
So you're the voice of their basketball team?
I am the voice of 7 Lakes basketball. I get to say stuff like it's basketball time in Texas. It's up bigger.
Really?
It's basketball time in Texas, which I stole from the Texas Rangers, the team that I love. So,
how good are they going to be this year?
They're actually really good. They have a good point guard. They have some great winger and a good, tough post. So they have a capability of having a good run. Unfortunately, being 7 Lakes, our first playoff game goes into Fort Bend ISD. So the Katy ISD plays Fort Bend ISD. So you have some great teams in the state tournament always getting knocked out early on because they just meet early. The state tournament is not seeded based on the best team to the worst team. It's seeded by the top 4 teams finishing, but then up against their neighboring districts. So that's why you will see some of the best teams get knocked out early because they just come across something better than them. Hopefully we can get deep, but there's some great teams out there in basketball, let me tell you.
Well, it should be a fun season, I hope.
Yeah.
So, when not engaged in work, what are your hobbies and interests?
Well, I was born in 1972. That makes me a Gen Xer, so I play a lot of video games. Yeah, I play a lot of video games. I mean, I have a PlayStation 5 because I'm a computer science teacher. I do not want to play on the PC. That's my job. It's what I do for a living. If I played on the PC, I would forget to do my job. So I have a PS5 that I play on, and so that's my big hobby. I used to collect comic books a lot. I mean, to the point of insanity.
Really?
And I love to read. So basically, anything that keeps my mind going is what I do. It's when I retire. When any of us retire in my generation, the old folks' homes are going to be fun because they're going to look like an 80s arcade. We're all going to be playing video games going, don't worry about the grandkids. We've got our games. Just give us another Zelda.
Hey, so which game on the PS5 and which comic books?
Well, I'm a Batman. Now, if you come into my classroom, you'll see half my wall is Batman, the other half Star Wars. So I'm big. I like to read the Batman comics. I mean, I haven't read them since for 10 years now because when DC went to the New 52, I said, and I'm out of here. Bye. Because it was just it was a great time to leave. As for video games, I've saved myself a lot of money by using GameFly, so it's whatever comes in the month, and I play that. Currently, I'm playing this thing called Torment, Tides of Numarna, which is a text-based game, which is kind of intriguing, along with FIFA. I'm taking Carlisle United all the way to the Premiership. It's kind of fun,
Really?
beating Man U. Oh, yeah. It's kind of fun taking a fourth-level team and beating Man U with it. It's fun stuff. I usually do that with, whatever sports game I get. I get a baseball game. I get the worst team. I try to make them the best. Unfortunately, that's my Rangers right now. Football, I take the worst team and make them the best. Fortunately, that's the Texans right now. Basketball team, I try to take the best team and make them the best. Thankfully, I'm a Mavericks fan and not the Rockets fan, so I'm not as sad right now. So.
Sounds like a lot of fun, man. Sounds like
I have fun. The sad thing about it is I actually literally plan out how to do all this. What I do for a living in UIL academics, when I plan out a contest, I plan out when everything's going to happen, and it's going to be here, and it's going to be here, and we're going to move this here. And I'm years in advance doing this. Well, I do that in the video games too. I'm like sitting down for days just with a piece of paper planning out what I want to do. It's kind of like my hobby is
maximize your enjoyment.
That's what I'm doing. That's what I'm doing.
Hey, the Katy Seven Lakes tournament is right around the corner. It's coming up soon. How's preparation?
Well, today I finally got the UIL just released me the test, so I immediately jumped on that, dropped everything else I was doing because this is a review day for everybody, so they're reviewing for the finals this week, and so I just made sure I got all those tests and sent them off to our print shop so we can be ready by the time. So I'm hoping I'm ahead of it. I'm starting to recruit some teachers to help run the contest, and then when we come back from break, I have a 2-week cushion where I'm going to get all the kids to do some volunteer work to run the contest. The coaches are getting the things in. They're texting me, asking me about the contest. I'm sending stuff in right now. That's the fun part because I'm getting a lot of new coaches, and they're saying, what if we don't pay on time? It's like, don't worry about it. I know where you are. Hey,
I love that about you.
Yeah.
It's hard from a coach. I've attended your tournament many years, and it never fails to inspire. It never fails to give joy to the kids. It's such a wonderful practice tournament year after year after year. But from a coach's perspective, sometimes I worry about getting that check cut, and you've always been very understanding and lenient, and I appreciate that.
Well, to me, it's like Scotty Johnson, the man who was one of my mentors, said, if we could do it, we should do it for free. And I looked at him like, well, we can't. I mean, I could probably do that for 2 years, maybe maximum. But I did think about what he said and said, well, I try to make it as cheap as I can, but still, helping the team along so we can pay for our entry fees. But also it's like, listen, I know how slow it takes to get a district check. You have to go through certain things, and you don't know who your kids are until the day of. I hate taking a kid there and they're not there, and then I have to pay for them, which the kid just didn't make it for whatever reason.
Yes.
So I wanted to take that away from the sponsors. And listen, don't have to pay until afterwards once you know the real number, because you're good for it. I mean, and if you're not good for it, it's not about you. It's about the kids. I'm going to let you be successful, So, yeah.
Oh, I'm so happy because, I'm signing up for other tournaments and they all want the numbers beforehand and accurate numbers. And it's just impossible for a sponsor to give accurate numbers beforehand. So that's a big plus for your tournament, to be so flexible. I really appreciate that. So,
well, I have the luxury of being flexible. Some tournaments can't be flexible. That money needs to be accounted for. You'd have to do what your district tells you.
Yes.
And so I'm able to do it because my district allows me to say, hey, don't worry about it. I know it's coming in. Plus, we have enough money. Like if something bad happens, hey, we got all the bills paid. It's okay. That's our UIL team, that the stuff we've raised in the past, not our district. It's UIL teams like, we got this covered, and then the money comes in. It's to me the kind of fun part, but also, oh gosh, I hate that stress. Oh, by the way, if you ever find yourself in a position where the person is saying, I need the check now, check and see if they'll take an open PO.
Okay.
An open PO can always say, hey, the district says they're good for it. We've had it for this amount of money. And then that usually helps the contest director saying, I know this money's coming in.
Yes.
So for those people who need it, an open PO would be the way to go.
Awesome advice. Hey, I've always encountered you like in a professional setting. I want to know a little bit about you, man, because you've been such a large part of UIL for so many years. Where are you from, born and raised, and what's your cultural heritage?
All right. Well, I was born. Sorry, I always think of Steve Martin in The Jerk on that one. If you haven't seen that movie,
I've seen it.
It's always a joke in my head. I was born in the 70s. I was born in Fort Worth, Texas. I was raised by my dad and my mom. Well, I'm a white guy. So my cultural heritage is always funny because it's like, I'm an American. Because that's as far as it goes. I don't know where my ancestors came from. Don't care where they came from. I was born in Texas. My dad was from East Texas. My mom was from West Texas. I was raised in the Southern Baptist Church. Later on, my dad became a Methodist, so I was raised with a Methodist. So I kind of like to call myself a Baptist, a Southern Baptist. And of course, as a teacher, I call myself a liberal Southern Baptist, which really is. People are like, "What is that?" It's like, exactly, I'm an enigma wrapped around and everything. So I'm a Texan, just straight up American Texan. I'm a Christian, but I was raised at a time when I was taught to love everybody, no matter what. And I think that's the biggest thing my parents ever gave me is, kindness, love, gentleness. Don't judge. You have done too much sinning to judge. And then when I became a teacher and all the people I've taught, because I taught at Westfield High School for 10 years, and then this is my 16 years at Seven Lakes High School. I'm a boy from Fort Worth, Texas. I grew up in Springtown, Watauga, went to school at Haltom High School. My parents live in Decatur. My other parents live in Graham, Texas. I'm a country boy who wanted to get out of the country. But, you get into Westfield, up in Spring, Texas, you meet people you've never met before in your life. And it changes. It says, oh yeah, there is other ways of living. Okay. And then the same way at Seven Lakes, I've dealt with so many different cultures everywhere that I love what I do now. Thankfully, my parents got me prepared for it by saying, you got to love everybody, you got to treat everybody with respect and love.
Absolutely. Hey, did you do UIL as a student?
I was actually, I was third in class of 536 at Haltom High School in 1990. Wow. Now, yeah, I call it losatorian because I wasn't valedictorian, I wasn't salutatorian. But I actually, ironically enough, was in UIL 1 Act. I was an actor. And so that's what my UIL experience was acting. Although it's a little bit of a lot because my stepmom, I have 4 great parents. My stepmom was a teacher and she taught in Graham, Texas, and she was an English teacher and she created the journalism. She was the journalism teacher. She also did the yearbook. She did UIL all the time in journalism. And she tricked me once to go to San Angelo, Texas. And anybody from San Angelo knows, oh, you got sent to San Angelo. Interesting. Just to watch a journalism contest. which is I sat around in San Angelo while they took a journalism contest. So I was exposed to UIL early. I knew about it,
Awesome.
but I didn't really embrace it until I got down to Westfield High School, and that's when I met Rick Hedstrom, and he was the number sense coach at Westfield, and he had just won the number sense state championship, beating Klein, which is a big deal. In 1997 was a big deal. Nowadays, it's still a big deal. So Azel will have something to say about that. And, Clements and Dulles will have some things to say about that too. But Rick Hedstrom was my first, you've got to get them ready for computer science. Well, what? Yes, there's a computer science contest. You need to get them ready. Explain. And so he told me that. I was like, that sounds cool. And this is before there was a programming contest in district.
Wow.
So I was like, I can do that. I can win this, because I was stupid, because I didn't know places like South Lake Carroll and Taylor had something to say about that. And so that was I was born in fire on 1998 in computer science, when we hosted, I think we hosted that year. Yeah, we hosted, and I had to build a team from nothing. That was fun.
Wow.
Yeah, the first time we went to Regions, I remember the first time we went to Regions, and we got up there, and Josie Mallory, she was the UIL Academic Coordinator at Klein at the time, and she was in the peak of her dominance. She was Josie. She was Josie. I mean, her peak was like 30 years. So we had beaten Klein in computer science, which is like, what? But we beat them, and so we get to go to Baylor for the regional meet. So me, young little kid, takes up my team. We get up there. We stay the night. We drive. We get there on time. And there's Josie with her 4 computer science kids. We didn't have wall card yet. And she's trying to convince the Baylor, to the region, that Westfield's not going to show up. We'll play for them.
Oh, really?
And I'm like, oh, yeah, that's what Josie's doing.
Really?
And I'm like, excuse me, we're Westfield. We're here. And Josie, okay, guys, go on. So Josie taught me a very early lesson right there about you better show up before the time, because someone's going to take your spot if you don't.
Josie.
She gave me a lot of lessons.
Yeah, she has a lot of lessons she can give. I'm trying to get her on this program too, man. She has
man, that would be like a 2-hour episode, and every minute of it would be fun.
It really would be, though.
If you want to bend someone's ear, Josie is. I respect her with so much. Wow, what a person! She was one of the people I saw that I went, I want to be like. Well, not like Josie, because there's only one Josie. But there's someone I wanted to try to be as successful as that. Scotty Johnson I want to be like Scotty Johnson. Rebecca George, who was dominant in computer science in Taylor at the time. There was some people. It's like, wow, I want to do that. But Josie was my first foray.
Well, I will say this, Mr. Stroud. Your name is a pretty powerful name too, man. It carries some weight. Say Paul Stroud, and a lot of people know that name, and you've had a major impact. So that's for sure.
As long as they're not spitting my name out and spitting on the ground, cuts me out. I appreciate that.
Hey, where'd you go to college, and what degree did you earn?
I started out at Texas A&M University. I am an Aggie, but I had a moment. I was going to be a doctor. I was going to be a heart surgeon, because everybody wants to be that special doctor. And my senior year, 4th year, I had a man in the mirror moment. I just looked myself in the mirror, talking to myself, praying to God. Do I want to do this? I hate the medical industry. I actually hated the medical industry by then. I was like, I don't like this. Well, what do you want to do? And this is me talking. And I said, well, I like showing other people what to do. That's why I decided I'd be a teacher. And that was 18 hours before graduating from A&M. And I decided I wanted to be a teacher, and I switched my major to mathematics, because if I'm going to be a teacher, there was anything I could do. My stepmom was an English teacher and everything. And I love English. Ask anybody my opinion on Shakespeare, and they'll go, "Oh, he'll go on for hours about Shakespeare." But I didn't want to grade all those essays. I saw my stepmom sleeping on the couch at 3:00 in the morning, surrounded by essays, of which some I graded, maybe, that no one ever knew, because I was intrigued. And so I was going to be a math teacher. Well, so I switched over to math, and my stepfather, Mike, said, you should come home. You should come home, go to North Texas, and finish up there, new chance, new start. He was a brilliant man. He was always understood me. So I moved home and I finished at the University of North Texas with a math degree, a degree in mathematics, theoretical mathematics. A&M taught me all the applied mathematics. I got to North Texas and they said, that's not going to count for what you're going for. You need to do theory. And I'm like, okay. So I have both analytical mathematics, applied mathematics, and theoretical mathematics, and I'm a computer science teacher.
Wow.
So that happened because when I went off to get my job, I interviewed Duncanville. I interviewed at Clements.
Really?
I think that was funny. I interviewed at Clements for a math position, and they did not hire me. They hired Lubna, and Lubna Lorna, who was like the best computer science coach down here. She's won like 16. Well, if I've won 2, Stacey's won at least 2 or 3, and Henry's won 1. She's won at least 10 state championships in computer science. I think she got hired instead of me. And so Westfield hired me. And so I was at Westfield High School, and they didn't have a computer science department. They had no classes. And I said, where's your computer science department? He goes, we don't have one. The person who taught it left. I said, well, I'll do it. And said, okay, do it. And so I went and got my certification, which at the time was computer information systems. And all you had to do was take the test, which wasn't much of a test. And so I took it, and I became a computer science. I got CIS, so I could teach computer science. And I figured I'd probably teach a couple of geometries and a couple of computer science, maybe a computer science math. I came back, they had 7 computer science classes waited for me.
Wow.
I had to find someone else to help me teach computer science. That was my first year. So that's how I got into computer science. But I was a math teacher. I always say when you're looking for a computer science teacher, get a geometry teacher. They're the best. They're the ones who understand proofs, and that's where you are at computer science.
Wow. Hey, I do want to get back to that tournament.
Yeah.
How did you first decide to host it?
That's a great story. Scotty Johnson. Okay, so I did 10 years at Westfield, and during that time, I was a computer science coach. I was also the academic decathlon coach. We started the academic decathlon there. Yeah, I started the quiz bowl there too. And they were all the same kids, by the way. I used all the same kids. They're all computer science kids. But gosh, they were fun. And I had actually volunteered, because I'm stupid, volunteered Westfield to host the academic decathlon regional meet. And it was a disaster. That meet was bad. It was bad because I wasn't in charge. The principals were in charge. And they kind of didn't plan it very well, and I tried to help, but they said, you worry about this, we'll worry about it, we got this. They didn't have it. And it scared the tar out of me. Well, a couple of years later, I had an opportunity to go to Seven Lakes High School. Scotty Johnson recruited me. He wanted to move back to Waller, because that's where he taught a lot. And he had built a pretty good UIL academic team in the 2 years he was at Seven Lakes. So he recruited me and brought me in. And unbeknownst to me, he was going to stay for a year doing like tech work. So he could make sure. What I realized is he was going to make sure I didn't mess up his bait, because he had built something beautiful. And so he kind of trained me for a year. It's like it's my apprenticeship, 10 years of teaching. I had this legend who I actually looked up to and wanted to be like, really showing me how to be a UIL Academic Coordinator as well as a computer science teacher, the way he sees it. He does computer science differently than I did, but I was able to mesh my ideas with his to see how it works. But I remember that whole year he had these ideas, these crazy ideas. We had already done 2 computer science contests, and he said he comes in halfway through this fall semester and says, I want to show you something. I said, okay. This is 7th period. He starts writing up a schedule up on my whiteboard. I'm looking over there. I can see it now. He goes, this. I was like, well, what is that? That's the UIL winter meet you're going to host. What? It's like, we're going to host. We are? Yes. I'm like, all right. No, all right, I get this. Because I'm thinking, I don't have to get a bus. I don't have to pay anything. Everybody comes to me. I can make sure it works the way I want it to work. Wait, the last contest I ever did was really bad. And I told him, listen, the last contest I did was bad. He says, no, you did great on that computer science contest, and I'm there for you. We can do it. And I looked at the schedule a little bit closer. Wait a second. He goes, what? Did you just put a computer science programming contest at the end of the day? Yeah. Are you insane? No, we can do it. There's going to be 100 teams in that contest at 6 o'clock in the afternoon. Well, that's 4 o'clock in the afternoon. Because, so what? So I would get killed. No, we're not doing that. And he talked me into doing the programming contest, which I think means the difference because we had just started. The computer science had just started doing programming contests for UIL districts. Everyone had to start learning. And so he convinced me, and I said, okay, but I'm only going to take a max of 2 teams per school. Because I know Cy Woods would put 12 in there. Yeah. I knew Clemens was going to put 12 in there. I knew Taylor was going to put 8 in there. So I had to make sure my big schools weren't going to put everybody in there. But if I did 2, you can see what your 6 guys are doing. So we started. We did it. And that first year, Dulles came on board. Clemens came on board. Cy Woods came on board. Now, you get those 3 schools, along with Seven Lakes and Taylor.
Powerhouse.
You get those schools going, you have enough. Yeah. Then everybody else wants to come and see how they do against them. And then Neatville, Delta brought her team up. It's like, hey, this is closer. We're doing it over Brenham, which was like, I think it was Brenham at the time. So we built it, the first one. And I was so concerned to make sure everything worked. I made my little Excel sheet that I still use. I made my how-tos for everybody. I got teachers in there. I consulted with Sky Johnson all the time. I did all of it. Got the trophies. Got everything. I forgot to order food for the coaches.
Oh, no.
It was bad.
Was it a riot?
There's 3 ways to having a successful UIL contest. First of all, have trophies. Have some kind of trophy or medal or something to give to the kids so they feel successful. That's the first thing. Number 2, don't overcharge. Charge what you can. But remember, you kind of want them not to go broke coming to your contest. That's why this year I had to go up $1 for our contest to $8. And I dreaded doing it. But I'm going, all right, well, everything's costing more. If I go up to $8, I'll get a lot of kids in here. And that little small increase will help out. Instead of charging $12 and losing half my teams. I'm not going to do that. I have the luxury of having big tournaments. Number 3, and I found this out, feed your coaches. Feed your coaches. Oh, there's a 4th one, too, if you ever have the ability to. I didn't do this for a while, but I figured out this is the best way. Hire journalism people to judge journalism. Don't have the journalism coaches do it because that's a lot of work for them. It's hard to find people. But if you hire 3 people, pay them a sum, hey, come in here, do this, pay a sum. And then any journalism coach who wants to help grade can feel free to go in and grade. It's easier. Same way with ready writing. I actually try to get 3 of my regular ready writing teachers to come in, pay them some money because they're having to grade a lot, and get them set so the districts, the people coming don't have to worry about a ready writer. So yeah, that's how I got started, and it was a mess the first year.
Let me tell you, man, countless generations of kids have enjoyed that tournament. I enjoy that tournament. It's so much fun, and we'll be there January 14th.
Do I have you on the list? Because I'm not sure you're on the list yet.
We'll be there, man. We'll be there. Might have to give you an IOU, but we'll be there.
Oh, that's okay. Yeah.
I appreciate you. Thank you. Hey, as a coach, throughout the years, do you have any favorite teams, any favorite students?
All right, so every year is fun. Every year there are people who change your life, but you change their lives. I forget half the students I had because I've had so many. So I don't want to call out favorites because there's so many good ones, but there are some good stories. I think that when I saw that you're going to ask this question, I thought about it, and the first person who came to mind was Alex Corbin. Really? Alex Corbin was a 2012 state champion. I want to say 2012 state champion. It's been so long. 2012 state champion in Lit Crit. I won't forget this guy anytime soon because he had a temper on him. Really? He was smart. He knew what he was. He knew how good he was. And he also knew he wasn't not going to suffer anybody who doesn't know what they're doing. And so he was in quiz ball, and him and the quiz ball coach just butted heads because they're the same type of person. They really were. one person's my best friend, and the other one was a student I really admired. So they did not work. Quiz Bowl is like, I'm done with it. I don't want to do it. And then he started doing lit crit, and this kid kind of started. He really wanted to win. I mean, he wanted. He had that winning attitude, and so he went in there and he took a look at lit crit, and he really started devouring what he saw in lit crit. He came up with a plan, recruited 3 people on his own.
Really?
Started coming in, and every week we'd give him lit crit tests and have it for him. And he would grade his stuff, and he'd work with the kids, and he basically willed that 3-man team into a state championship, the first lit crit state championship we had. That was incredible. I mean, the guy was a leader. Huh?
This is a student doing this.
This is a junior doing this.
Wow.
I want to say he was a junior that year. This was a junior. And I have a lot of kids like that. I have a lot of leaders. When someone really wants it, they know, hey, I always tell them, yeah, you got to be the leader. You got to be the captain. I just give you the stuff you need. You want it, you're going to go for it. And Corbin was the one who really wanted it. The amazing thing about it is the next year, we could do it all again. We had a better team the next year. We had a strong, good-looking team that year. Except that Regions, which was at Cy Woods that year, I was in charge of lit crit. And I kind of wrote down a score wrong. That was ours. And because of my mistake, it wasn't caught during the check. And because of my mistake, the team didn't go to Regions. It was a mistake so bad they didn't win the Regions and didn't get wild card either. And we found out on Monday when Corbin looked at it and went, Stroud, you screwed up. Oh, I felt so bad. But Alex went. He was an individual there that year. And Alex Corbin, he goes there, nails it to the wall. I mean, he has a nigh perfect, if not perfect. And it was like one heck of it was the second time to win individual. But he outscored this one young lady who was also a senior from, I think, a 5A school or a 4A school who no one beat. She was really good. And he beat her. And she went looking for him because who's this guy who beat me? And they met, and she liked him, and he kind of liked her. So they kind of hung out over the summer before they both went off to their own colleges. I love that story. I love that this person's like, I'm going to find this Alex Corbin. Hey, how you doing? My name is... And I'm like watching this going, this is like movie thing here. It was fun. That's Alex. I have others. I mean, my best team was never won a state championship. They never did. They lost to Clemens 3 years in a row. And that was Colby, Miguel, and Trace. Trace actually won a state championship his freshman year. But those guys, they were my best, and they always worked hard. But Clemens got it. Clemens and them went back and forward all the time and always lost. So I like them all. There's so many great ones. I'm leaving out so many good kids. I mean, I currently have these incredible kids right now. I'm not even mentioning because first of all, they're minors, and second of all, they are their own source of joy.
I will say this: it's rough because I've been in Region 3, 6A also. And getting by Clements and some of the dullest math teams over the years. And it's just ridiculous how competitive it is. So I've always said this. To me, it's always about the joy and the improvement of working, with your guys and the family atmosphere. Because, you're not going to get by Clements sometimes. It is what it is.
Well, Clements... Yeah, my kids, then when we talk, first of all, in computer science and all the maths, Clemens is going to be great. And Dulles has been great. And my kids are really good. It's like, Clemens and Dulles are good. If you want it, you got to earn it. Yeah. And we go up against them. We don't hate them. These are that's their future colleagues they're working with. My kids are going to go to those major schools, and Clemens is going to go to the major schools, and they're going to work together. I mean, Trace and Miguel and all those guys, they worked with the Clemens, at University of Texas. Yeah. After that, at Stanford, Chicago, Illinois, all these great computer science schools, Georgia Tech. They always go there. We're a family, and we get beat. It's all good. We love it. But I also tell my kids, that's all right. We'll beat them in English. We'll beat them in lit crit. We'll beat them in spelling. We'll beat them there. You know, there are places where you can get the points.
Is there a favorite story throughout the years?
Okay. There is several, but this is my favorite one because it's about me learning how to be an academic coordinator. And I had a phrase I still tell my kids, we're only as good as our fourth player. We're only as good as our fourth player. Because the fourth player, they always feel like, I'm just here just because. It's like, no, you're not. You're here because that number one, number two, or number three person, he's going to have a bad day one day. And they're going to bomb it. And you're going to save their rear end. You're going to be the one who swoops in and saves the day. We're only as good as our fourth player because our fourth player is the one who saves the game. Well, we were playing, I want to say this is 2012 too. This is when we started doing I want to say we did the UIL regional meet that year. I think it was my first year. I think 2012 and 2013, or maybe it was 2011, 2012. Then I think it was 12 and 13. We're hosting it. And it is a buzzsaw. Back then, Region 3, 6A, I think it was 3, 5A back then, was a buzzsaw in computer science because the teams you had, I mean, the four teams you had to deal with was us, Taylor, Cy Woods, and Clements. So these are really good teams that have played each other all year long. So here we are. We're all facing each other in Seven Lakes High School for regions. We kind of joke, welcome to the state championship, which is cocky. And I'll tell you right now, there are a lot of schools out there who say, yeah, you're not that good. And they were right. That was a bit of cockiness that kind of came and tried to bite me on the rear end later on. They're there, and Cy Woods is the dominant team that year. They are good. They are all fire. They have won every single contest. And then Seven Lakes and Taylor and Clemens would take turns trying to beat them. That day, Cy Woods, for some reason, had a bad day. The ultimate bad day, where nothing went right for them. It may have been they were a little bit younger. They were a little bit, may have been the sophomores and juniors. They just weren't that great yet. They choked a little bit, but it was just a bad day. So all of a sudden, and we don't know this because Sean Campbell at Cinco Ranch at the time is running the contest. I put someone who has no skin in the game running it. So me, Stacy, Lubna, we have no clue. Sean is running this. We're not bothering. We're staying our distance. So we come up to see who wins, and Sean tells us, well, Seven Lakes won. Wow. It's like, what? We're all like, what? It's like, yeah, we're trying to figure out who the second place is because wild card had already been established at that time. And wild card is going to go on and get a second chance. So we're going, Woods is going to be wild card. No, it was Taylor versus Clements, and they were tied. Sean screamed out, it's a tie! And we go, wait, how did you break a tie? And so we look into the rules, and we find in the rules that the fourth individual breaks the tie, not the programmer. Taylor had the higher fourth score. Wow. Taylor advanced. The only year you're ever going to see Cy Woods and Clements not go to state. I don't think it's ever happened since. Wow. And so Taylor and Seven Lakes from KDIC goes to state. And I was like, oh my gosh, we're going to state. And our big rivals are not. This is exciting. Well, none of us are paying attention because everybody's discounting the Plano schools, which I believe Plano School was there. It was either Plano or it was, it may have been the Gifted and Talented of Dallas. Can't remember which one it was. It may have been Gifted and Talented. And Gary Hicks, another great computer science coach who'd been doing this for years, used to dominate in the 80s and 90s, had some great teams. He was there with Pascal. And so we all show up. At the end of the written contest, the leader, I believe, was either Plano or Gifted and Talented or Science and Engineering. It's one of those schools. And then we're there, and the Hicks is in, the Pascal's in third. My kids are sick. They had the flu, which 10 years later, they would not be allowed to go, but it was 2012. We didn't care if you had the sniffles. They're all not feeling well. I said, well, do the best you can. Have fun. You know what? If you win, I'll shave my head. knowing that I would never have to shave my head whatsoever. You know where this is going now. And so me and a bunch of teachers go off to Lyndon Baines Johnson Library to just look at it because, hey, man, we have 2 hours to kill, 3 hours to kill. We go to LBJ Library, kind of check out the LBJ Library, have a little fun time, wander back down to the text where they were doing it in Welborn Hall or something. We wander down there, and it's a kerfuffle going on down there. There's a whole lot of things going down there. And I went, what's going on? Seven Lakes and Pasca's tied. And I'm like, really? And I'm thinking, no, it's the fourth place person. So I kind of go and check, and we've won it on fourth place. Trace, Brennan, my freshman, we're only as good as fourth place. Yeah. He outscored the fourth person from Pasco. So I'm like, okay, I know how this ends. Gary, he doesn't. Gary hasn't seen that rule, and he is arguing that the highest programming score should win. And I understand, makes sense to me. And so they're just talking to the people in charge, and I go up to one quietly behind, without anyone knowing, and said, "Hey, it is the fourth written score, right?" He goes, "Yeah, all right." I just go back and sit down because I'm going to keep my mouth shut. I'm not going to piss anybody off. Yeah. I'm too excited. That was the state championship, our second state championship we won. Wow. Gary's heartbroken. He's upset. He wants the rules changed. I actually don't blame him. Because I would have felt the same way if I lost. I won, so I kind of liked it. But that was my second state championship in computer science. I've only had 2, and it felt so good. Because my first one was Scotty Johnson. He got the team ready the year before, and he kind of handed it over to me. And I got to take them to the Holy Lands, which I call it, that's my Barry Switzer championship. Yeah. Dallas Cowboy reference. Yeah. This one is like, I built that team. Me and Miss Ricky built that team. It feels good. That's one I like. I'm proud of those men. They did a good job.
Tell me you got a picture of that shaved head.
No. Well, not anymore. My wife deleted those. Oh. And plus, I don't look good bald. Thank God. I just pull my hair. I'm 50 years old. I still retain my hair. I said because I didn't have a mortgage till I was 40, but or a child till I was 40. But no, it didn't look good. Some people look good with shaved heads. I looked wrong. I was the announcer of the graduation commencement at Seven Lakes that year. I announced all the names with my bald head. Seems like they didn't ask me back afterwards. I've never announced since. And I'm kind of sure it was maybe the bald head stunt that did it. I don't blame them. I looked weird.
Mr. Stroud, all this experience, all this perspective, all this wisdom, I'd like you to give several groups of people some advice.
All right.
Let's start with what advice would you give students?
Okay, you want to win the state championship. Is it you want to win the district championship, the regions, or the state? It all means the same, really. How much do you really want it? See, coaches can yell and scream, do whatever they want, or whatever. This is a contest. All these contests, and I'm not talking basketball, I'm not talking baseball, I'm talking about the academics. It's you versus the test, not you versus anybody else. It's you versus the test. It's you versus that test. The more you practice for it, the more you study it, the more you do it, the better you're going to get. So it comes down to don't worry about the other teams. Worry about what am I doing? How can I make it better? Am I studying? Spelling is a good example. Do I know my words? Am I working on my words? Did I start in September? I'm starting to learn my words. Am I getting better with each spot? Am I improving? And even though I'm not improving, am I trying? It's all about your effort you give in there. The awards and the winning comes if it comes. Clements was having a hard trouble in 2013, the year after we won the state championship, because that's when I started my best team. The next 3 years were the ones who never beat Clements. They were dominant that next year. They were dominant. They were Cy Woods dominant. And Clements couldn't beat us. We were beating everybody every year. And I heard Clements say, their top team say, we're never going to beat Seven Lakes. I went up to him and said, no, that's wrong. You only have to beat us once. That's all you need to do. Beat us once, regions or state, and then you're champions. Y'all can do that. You definitely can do that. I know you can do it. Believe in yourself. Work hard. Know the questions. See the questions. Work the questions. Do the practice. Don't worry about Seven Lakes. Seven Lake's going to do what they do. Sidewood's going to do what they do. Worry about Clements. Worry about what you can contribute to the team. Son of a gun, they beat us. That's the senior year, the state championship. They beat us, and they never looked back because it's not about the other teams. It's never about the other teams. It's about what you can learn.
Well,
I enjoy doing.
Thanks to your inspiring words. So
no, Lubna teaches them really well too, but they beat us, and it was like, yeah, you only have to beat them once, and it seems to be true. Yeah. Because that once happened a lot afterwards. But it's you versus the test, not you versus the person across there. Don't worry about that team. You're not going directly up against them. You're going up against the test. Yeah, whoever scores the highest wins. And if you don't put much time into it, hey, be happy with what you got out of it. Yeah. You know, what you put into it will get you a result. May not be the result you want, but you will be proud of it. That's what I tell students.
Yeah, not to mention the skills you're developing that are going to benefit you in the future, right? So,
Yes. Well, I mean, these are high-level kids. They know these skills are going to help. Yeah. They know it's going to be good for them. These kids are, if they love it, they're going to love it, you know? So, yeah.
What advice do you got for coaches?
You know, there are two ways of coaching in everything, UIL and, you know, football, baseball, basketball, life skills, whatever. You can either use an iron fist or a velvet hand, velvet glove. I have seen them both work. I've seen coaches who are just mean to their kids, but those kids respond to it, and they do well, and they win, and they go through a wall for them. I mean, I've seen it. I don't like it, but I've seen it, so I know that works. I am not that person, or I fight not to be that person. I think everybody has that ability to get angry and get mad and lose their temper, and I don't like my temper. It comes out too much so, if you ask me, but I try very hard not to. I like the velvet glove approach. I like listen, you're here for a contest. All I can do is show you. I can take you to the water. I can show you the water. I can't make you drink it. I can give you the stuff to do it. I can be here when you have questions. I can be here to encourage you. I can root you on. I'll be your biggest cheerleader. But you have to enjoy life. You've got to do what's right for you, not what's right for anybody else, what's right for you, because it is your soul that you are trying to maintain. I want you to be part of this team. I want you on here, but you have to decide, do you want to be part of it? And if you say, no, it's too much, I respect that. I respect your decision. And I'll let you come in and practice as much as you can, but you give me as much as you can. I like that velvet approach. I think a softer hand doesn't terrorize the student, doesn't make them feel less of a person. And I think it can be successful, you know? So you got to find who you are, but try not to put the hate in the world, put more love into it.
You know, I love that perspective because, you know, you and me have been in the game for a while. I've seen coaches of both types be successful.
Yeah.
I've seen both types. So
it does work. I know the iron glove works.
Yeah. I would say Josie Mallory, Jonathan Trin are more iron glove-ish, maybe. I don't know if you remember Jonathan Trin.
I know Josie Mallory had a velvet glove that had an iron hand in it. You know, don't piss off Miss Mallory. Oh, no. She did not like you disappointing her. But she can be a gentle lamb too. She'd do both ways. And then, the second name you mentioned,
Jonathan Trin.
Yeah, now that guy could go iron glove really hard. I watched him go iron glove, and I went, I can't do that. I burned too many bridges that way.
And you got Don Kirby. I think Don Kirby's more of a velvet glove.
Yeah. Oh no, Dr. Kirby. I mean, even UIL Academic Coordinator, everybody goes to Dr. Kirby with hat in hand. Mr. Kirby, here is the calculator test. Could you please look it over, make sure it's okay?
Exactly.
We appreciate it. Thank you, sir. Thank you. And you bow as you leave. No, that man, he was beloved. I never saw him mad. Me neither. At his students. I saw him smile when they did something stupid. And it's like, oh, yeah. I liked Kirby. I did. I missed him. I hear him.
We've been part of the same crowd for a good long time, man. So we know a lot of. How about parents? You got anything for them?
Yes. Yeah, I do. You know your children. Parents know their children the most. They know what the child is going to respond to. Coaches don't. They can guess at it. Students don't because their hormones are telling them all these things. The parents know how they respond. Sometimes you have to be firm. Sometimes you have to be gentle. You know your child. Trust your child. That's when it comes down. Trust your child. Be there as their confidant. Be there as their guidance and their moral compass. Yes. But your child's going to go to college. I think that's important to know. Any child that wants to go to college in this country is going to go to college. Now, it may not be a super cool name school like Stanford because they have these outrageous, things you have to jump through. But that's okay. They're going to go to college. And the college you're going to go to is going to be a college that fits them. Don't worry about the GPA. Honestly, don't worry about that. Because when they're freshmen in college, they're going to realize it didn't matter. It never mattered. It just showed that you completed a high school, but dying over a difference between what a 95 is and what a 91 is not worth it. Don't mess your kid's head up that way. Encourage them to be the best educated person they can be. Encourage them to do things, to experiment with things, try stuff. Enjoy high school. Not I had to do this. I had to do this volunteering and this volunteering and this volunteering. No, you don't. Volunteering is because you want to, not because you have to make something look good. Don't volunteer just because you think it's going to get you in college, because it's not. Volunteer because you want to help your fellow man. Take classes you want to take because you want to improve yourself. And when you do UIL, do what you enjoy. If you're not having fun, don't do it. And the parents got to encourage them. Now, I had that challenge with my daughter. She's a 7th grader. Oh. And I'm a smart kid. I was A student. Nothing ever was hard for me. My daughter, she likes to try everything. She's welcoming and caring, and she loves her band right now. She'll be UIL, and she loves drumming. Wow. And I have to remind myself she's her own person, and I try to give her agency over her decisions. And if we would give our children agency over our children, be there to pick them up when they screw up, be there to give them advice, but let them make some decisions, even though they may be like, oh, that's a bad decision. I think that better prepares them for college when they have to go out and make their own decision. When all of a sudden, the parents aren't physically there to save you from something stupid. Well, if we do that in high school, if we give them agency to explore and make the mistakes, and where they're going, well, that wasn't smart, was it? It helps. But really, in the end, none of that matters because they know how to raise their children. And you got to trust a parent to raise your child. Absolutely. And I know that I have to remind, my wife reminds me, Paul, let her be her own boss. Oh, yeah, that's right. I'm supposed to. Yeah. So even I have to check myself before I helicopter in. And I am. I could already tell I'm the most helicopter of all parents.
Hey, it's a deep love for your child, man. It's a deep love for your child.
You get blinders on when it's there. You do.
So, what do you value the most about your UIL journey through these years?
I used to have. I still have this saying that teaching doesn't really happen until after school ends. Because it's when they come in after school. And the ones who care coming in and working together. I love the trips. I love the fact that there are these kids out there in this world who did UIL, and it was a moment of their life that they're like, yeah, I'm a state champion, or yeah, I did this. I really enjoyed doing this. And there's some that are like, yeah, Stroud was a jerk. I'm sorry. But I enjoyed that. I enjoyed that when I was at University of North Texas and I was doing their education department. They said, make yourself important to the school. Do you want to keep your job? Make yourself important to the school. You do that extra mile. The UIL is one of them. See, you shouldn't have to punch a clock. Don't be there at first bell, gone after the last bell, just doing a job. Find something that makes you part of the school. For me, early on, it was running the clock for the basketball teams and announcing games. And I've continued doing that because, I'm kind of an egotist, and I like being at the table, and really I get to do football games at Rhodes, and I enjoy it. But it was also I ran a board game club after school at Westfield, the Game Society. I loved that. I brought board games, and every day after school, I'd had 20 kids in there just playing board games. And these were not, Monopoly. These were the European games. These were the strategy, think them out, what's the nuance of it. They're problem solving games, which I really loved. They're now called European hobby games or whatever. They're the best. Well, for 10 years, I had kids coming in, and that's what they look forward to. It's just going and play games, and they got smarter with it. And then I started doing UIL, and kids are coming in. We're joking around about current events, which is always fun to talk about. I had great times, just making fun of current events and spelling, which I always made a current events esque with all the words I did. And lit crit, where I'd prove to kids like anyone could write poetry, and I write a poem, and they're like, "You just wrote a poem in 10 minutes." Yeah, it's not hard. It's like I got trained by my mom. My wife fell in love with me because I wrote her a poem. I mean, really, it finally worked. It didn't work for 42 years, and it worked in the 42nd year. She said, "I like this guy. He writes poetry." It's so good, I didn't write her another one. I don't want to ruin it. But that's the part, is all those days and those weekends and those jokings around that you become part of the school. And the school looks at you differently. They said, yeah, Stroud, he does the UIL stuff. He does this. You're part of the school culture. And if you're part of the school culture, then it's harder for them to get rid of you. And let's face it, I like having a job.
It's hard to imagine Katy Seven Lakes without Paul Stroud, man.
Oh, I don't want to imagine that until the day I'm done.
What I'm saying?
And then I want them to open up a school called Stroud Memorial High School. I don't think I'm going to get it. I haven't written a book yet.
What does the future have in store for you?
Well, again, I'm going to probably teach till I die or until they have universal health care. If I have national health care, maybe I'll retire and be able to enjoy it, but having insurance is the most important thing to me. No, I love what I do. It's fun. I like affecting life. I still have a mortgage, so I ain't leaving for another 22 years. And I love teaching. It's I've got a good job. I like my job. I teach computer science. Very few people are going to come in and tell me what to do. They will, but it's like, no. But I like doing that. And plus, the district I work for is very, very positive for UIL academics, and it's very positive in computer science. And I love working for the district. I've probably been more successful with this district. I mean, I was successful at Westfield, and Spring was fun to work at. But Katy really gave me the opportunity to grow. When I came here, we had 2 computer science teachers, me and Mr. Pinky. And now we have 5 computer science teachers. Yeah, I like to call it the McGee College of Computer Science. Mr. McGee retired, so I named the college after him. And we're constantly making new computer science classes. I mean, I like that. I like the brilliance of all my colleagues and everything. And I like the community. The community, when you understand your community, when you're in the community, I live in the community too. But when you understand what your community desires and desires of your school, that's good. And my community says we want excellent education. We come to Seven Lakes because we want our kids to be challenged. We want them to go to college and stay in college and be successful. We want leaders. And so all of those teachers here at Seven Lakes, we commit to that. We really do. I mean, we probably should hold it back a little bit. We kind of go big, but when you have smart kids like we do, it's hard to hold back. It's like, oh, I want to give you this. I want to give you this. I want to see how far I can go with you. And we've had that for 16 years. It's so much fun, Now, I am talking in the perspective of an AP teacher. So I don't have any academic classes. I'm all AP and beyond AP. So I may have a little rose-colored glasses on, but
I like this. You've really found a home there. You've really seemed to have a home there.
Westfield was a great home too, though. I really liked Westfield. It was fun. But that was like 97 and 2007. One of the best math departments I'd ever worked with.
So, any parting words or final thoughts as we conclude this interview?
Okay. This is for everybody everybody. It's been my only chance to say something. Be good to one another. I like Bill and Ted. I liked what they said. But really, you get more out of this life by using honey than you do using vitriol. I've seen people argue and spew hate at things they want changed, and they got it. but at what cost?
Yeah.
Kindness goes a long way. And I'd rather bring joy into the world and happiness in the world than hatred and anger and angst. Now, I feel like a hypocrite saying this because this is the finals week, and I've had to tell a lot of kids, no, that was due on Friday. You know, there are certain times where it's like, no, but again, I'm going to look at their grades and go, well, it's no, really no. But in everything you do in life, try to use kindness first. Be nice, be accommodating. Don't try to run people over, regardless. Because I think even if it doesn't succeed on that person you're trying to convince, you've put more happiness in than hatred. And it's good to get the hatred out.
Yes.
You know, it's good not to have it there. So that's my best advice. Be kind, be good to one another. You know, the golden rule is great. Oh, and also that the answer to life, the universe, and everything is 42. You know, that's important to know too.
Hey,
I'm king of nerds at 42. Douglas Adams was awesome. You know.
great stuff, Mr. Stroud. Great stuff. I really enjoy what you bring to the table. I've known you for quite a while. You know, our paths cross. That they're going to cross January 14th.
Yes,
they'll cross
and
there.
hopefully regions.
And at regions, hopefully they'll cross at region. And so they cross every so often, you know. But definitely, I want to say how much I appreciate you. I appreciate everything, and I look forward to seeing you January 14th.
Hey, if you ever find yourself in a position when someone new to UIL comes up and says, hey, what do I do? Help them, no matter what. If we all do that, we're all going to have successful UIL people.
Yes.
And that's pass it on, pass it forward, whatever that phrase is.
And those are some nice concluding remarks there. I appreciate you, man, and we'll see each other soon, man.
See you in January.
Farewell, buddy. Farewell.
Bye.
Bye-bye. Wow, what an enjoyable conversation. What passion, what perspective, what joy, what wisdom. Mr. Paul Stroud, a proud Katy 7 Lakes Spartan. Thank you, buddy. I appreciate that, and I really do. Let me take a quick moment and ask that if you enjoy this content, that you please hit the subscription button and the notification bell, that you leave a comment below, and that you smash that like button. Let's spread this joy, let's spread this beauty to as many people as possible. I have plenty of wonderful things in store for this channel, and I really appreciate your support. My name is Saul Cantu, and this is Texas Math Mundo. Farewell.